Welcome to the Paranormal Plains, where we share oddities, curiosities, cryptids, and strange stories from the upper Midwest. This is Casey, coming from Minnesota.
And this is Leslie, recording in North Dakota. That's right, it's Tuesday again, time for another episode of this educational podcast where we only talk about real and true phenomena.
I had to pick a category when I was setting something up, and they didn't have paranormal. It was like educational or like arts and society and culture, and I'm like, well, this is talking about the Midwest. I think we're culture.
Like, oh, that's so hard. Is it education or culture?
I can't tell. Personal stories was like a sub option, so I was like, oh yeah, I talk about this. So what kind of personal, educational, and cultural stories do you have for us this week?
Today we're covering spooklights and ghost trains.
Ooh.
These are ghostly lights seen in lonely spots out in the country.
Got lots of those.
The legends surrounding them are usually stories of a dead railroad worker carrying a lantern as a warning. There are several well-known lights, but the ones that we care about on this podcast are the two in the Midwest, the Paulding lights on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and the St. Louis light or St. Louis ghost train near St. Louis, Saskatchewan. That's right. This podcast is going international to the Canadian Midwest.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, please put in the first 10 bars. Well, let's start with the Paulding lights. At the end of a dirt road off US 45, a white light appears and has for nearly every night for over 50 years. You want a reliable paranormal event? A ghost that doesn't waste your time? Michigan.
So does that mean that we can go out there and this is verifiable? Like we can...
That's right.
Go track this down.
Yeah, yep.
My dear father suggested that for a series finale or season finale, we do a live video stream.
It'll be a series finale because we will die.
Yeah. Never hear from us again.
It was first reported in 1966 by a group of teenagers who reported it to a sheriff. And since, there's been people out there every night. It's kind of an unadvertised tourist attraction. There's no signs at the road, but you can literally put in Paulding lights into Google and it'll take you right there. I know you like getting the lay of the land.
I was not Geography B winner for nothing. I was, though. I won my 5th grade school Geography B. Kind of a big deal. Didn't
realize I was working with a professional.
So they've got a picture of like the U.S. Forest Service sign. This is the location from which the famous Paulding light can be observed.
Hey, no reading. I thought you wanted the map.
Sorry.
As you already saw, the U.S. Forest Service even mounted a sign for people who come out and watch. You started reading it, but this is what it says. Legend explains its presence as a railroad brakeman's ghost, destined to remain forever at the site of his untimely death. He continually waves his signal lantern as a warning to all who come visit. So I went out there, and I thought this is pretty open and shut, right?
Yeah.
Wrong.
No. What?
After going out there was like so much more to it than I realized, than like standing at a dirt road waiting for a light. You can see the photo that I've sent you. I've sent you a photo of the place during the daytime.
Okay.
And I'll explain like the setup to you. So what Casey is looking at, it's a dirt road with a metal guardrail at the end to keep cars from going further. And that guardrail is where people stand to see the light.
That guardrail has seen some shit. It's got...
Hey, it's been up since the 60s.
It's like one of those ones that goes at the edge of the highway to keep people... Somebody has come by and crunched the heck out of it and put plenty of their own graffiti on it. But yeah, this looks like any Midwest dirt road off of a road on a property. Power lines in a distance. Some deciduous trees.
Beyond the barrier, there's a trail going down into a forested valley of deciduous trees, as you heard, and up onto the other side. And that point, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but because I think that photo doesn't quite show how deep the valley goes. Mm-hmm. But the other point where the path comes up onto the hill and there's like a gap in the trees, that's where the light appears, near the top of that hill.
Okay.
But at nighttime, all you can see is the tops of the trees over there. So we had no idea, what anything looked like or how wide the valley was or anything until the next day. So we pulled up the watch. It was a chilly fall night. There were about 10 other cars there already, and this was like 7. Almost as soon as we got to the barrier, we could see a light appear at the top of that hill.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank God, because this was like an 8-hour drive. I was really happy, but shortly after I was like, huh. Because what it looked like was a headlight. It looked like a headlight on a distant highway.
Did anybody get out of the cars to try to, like, chase
Yes.
it down? Did you get out of the car to try to trace it down?
So, like, that trail that you see going down,
Mm-hmm.
people walk down there and walk up to where you see the light. That's something some people do. A lot of people watch from the guardrail. That's where we watch from. But some people go up there.
Okay, so it's like late in the evening, sun's gone down because we're hurtling towards winter. Did the light just, like, appear, or did it, like, phase in, or?
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to describe what a light looks like, but I'll try.
Okay.
So the light, it's white, and then it would get a bit smaller, and then it would turn red and get even smaller.
Oh.
Also, I'll say for the light, you could sit and watch it. Like, it would stick around. It wasn't like a car passing. Like, you could watch it for maybe even like a minute. It would stick around.
And then it would, like, fade out and come back?
Yeah, there would be like gaps between when it would turn up. It wasn't a constant thing. So like I was saying, I was kind of like, when it first turned up. But amongst the other people watching, there wasn't really a reaction.
Oh.
So we were like whispering, we're like, is that the light?
Does anyone else see it?
Yeah. It's a light. Kind of like looking around like, I'd assumed any light you see out there is the Paulding light. That had been my assumption.
Were the other people in their cars, or could you, like, see them?
No, everyone's standing at the guardrail. Because like I said, there was 10 cars there. You couldn't see it if you weren't. It was an interesting vibe because, like, some people are just chilling in their cars. And then they'd kind of come and go, get out of the car, come look, go back to their car, hang out, smoke a cigarette. It was like hangout, kind of. So the woman next to us, she's like, "Oh, that's just headlights." Yeah, so I was like, "Oh, okay. So is the real light a lot brighter, or we want to know what we were looking for?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "You'll know it when you see it."
Oh.
So I was like, "Oh God, what am I about to witness?" But that was something that we heard a couple times during the night as groups of people came and went. It seemed like people had different ideas of what the light was.
Oh.
Yeah, and when the light would appear, sometimes it did look like a headlight, and other times it didn't. There was a guy who whispered to his wife that the real light would be appearing lower in the valley. At the same time, there was people who would walk, like I was saying, walk down that trail into the valley, and they'd have little flashlights. So sometimes new people would come in, and they'd see those and be like, "Are those the lights?" So it was really strange. It was like there was all these different lights, but we were sitting there waiting for the real one.
Yeah, this is like Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin, You'll know it when you see it.
Mm-hmm. So as we were all standing out there, people would talk about the light or tell stories. So we got to listen to a bunch of local reports and ghost stories.
Content.
That first woman who I talked to, she said, "I'm going to tell you exactly. She told me there was a woman who lived out there who came to see the light almost every night. One night, this woman walked to the bottom of the valley and put a glass down upside down. And in the reflection of the glass, she saw an alien." I was like, this is the best night.
Who would think to do that? Take the glass.
Right. I didn't really understand what the significance of it was, especially if, like, turning the glass upside down or what.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't question. I was there as a student only.
Following the prime directive.
Even though I was telling you earlier that people talk about this being like a railroad worker, other people think that it's like a UFO. It's caused by UFOs, I should
aliens.
say. I don't that's the thing. I don't know exactly what they're saying. I guess they're saying UFOs are landing there, or they're just saying aliens in general. Personally, I don't think it's a UFO site, because if it was, the government wouldn't let you within miles of the place, let alone put up like a welcome sign for it.
Take a selfie.
Unless this is just a distraction, because the real alien landing sites in the area...
It's right behind you, so that way everyone's facing the wrong direction.
Exactly. It's like on the next hilltop. There's like a craft landing in broad daylight. There was another woman I talked to out there who had visited the light about 7 times in the last 20 years. And she said there was only one night she didn't see it.
Oh.
So it's really reliable. Since we were there in the night, a man described what the valley looked like. Yeah, I don't know if you can see in that photo, but there's actually a stream at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's too far down. He said that somewhere down there or on the other side, I'm not sure, there was a building that had been destroyed by fire, and people who took a brick from it died soon after.
Oh.
And I don't think it was just a story, because someone else said they had gone to it. I think people walk out to it at night when they come for the light, just for the spook factor.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of interesting tales just about the area. Like, that didn't even have anything to do with the light. There were just in general some funny comments too. A new group had just come up and it was all silent. And one of the guys goes, "Man, this is living. Staring down a dirt road waiting for a light."
I'm in the moment.
Yeah, some other guy, like, because I think people will just kind of go out there, you know, with a beer and hang out. Some guy came up and cracked a beer and he's like, "So what are we looking at?" In any case, we were there for about an hour. We were waiting for it to appear one last time before leaving. And when it did, this time it was different.
Oh.
I had read before going out that it was caused by headlights, and I had basically come to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But then it appeared somewhat similar to previous times because it was white than red, though it didn't look like headlights, and it was a small red light moving not only sideways but up and down.
Oh.
Which obviously as a car would not be able to do.
Yeah. Ugh. That's spooky.
It was. Especially because it was right before we left, too. I was spooked.
Like the crowd react.
I mean, at that time, there wasn't like a ooh or anything, but
Got
yeah,
quiet.
everyone was like, no one was whispering, like, that's not it then.
No.
So, yeah. I thought that was so interesting that it was so obvious to everyone there who had seen it so many times.
Well, now you're like initiated into the ritual, so now you can go there and you can haze the newbies.
Yeah, now I can whisper, "Oh, that's just a headlight." So I was pretty amazed. I'm not completely convinced it's paranormal, but I get it now. If it is headlights, there has to be at least more going on that's tricking your eyes for us to have seen it moving that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely explains why people have gone out there every night to check this out. Reachers have actually been out there several times to explain the source and have identified it as headlights, though there is no highway at the top of that hill or beyond. Mm-hmm. A couple people would come up and they didn't stay long. They were just, "That's headlights." Totally unimpressed. Because in the dark, I think they thought that the cars were just right over on the other side of the hill.
Yeah.
Because that's how bright it was and how good the illusion is.
Yeah.
But it's actually a lot more impressive than that because the lights are coming from a stretch of road off 8 miles away.
Oh, weird.
Mm-hmm. What I think is so amazing about it is because it seems almost like it's this perfect scenario where it's reflecting perfectly off this sign on the highway. It's exactly in this gap in the trees, perfectly reaching this hill. I think it's a pretty specific phenomena that's happening.
The coincidences surrounding it are enough that it's not normal. Right?
Yeah.
It is abnormal.
I can tell you the experiment they did do. Michigan Tech students, or killjoys as we call them in the paranormal world, brought a spectrograph and a telescope. And they sent each other driving down the highway while blinking their lights in a prearranged pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Every time the light appeared, they could see headlights through the telescope and sometimes even the distinct outline of a car.
Aww.
But the thing is, people in the area know about the experiment and its results, but a lot just don't care because they believe. Or the response was a lot of the times, that's not the light that we're looking at. It's different.
Right.
Which tracks with what I saw out there, where not everyone thinks that every light that turns up is the light.
I could see it like 1966 as like the beginning. Well, we didn't have tons of cars on the road until 40s and 50s, especially like the 60s, which is kind of neat too. So that would kind of go along with it starting in the 60s.
Mm-hmm. So that's the Paulding lights. Thoughts, comments, condemnations?
Yeah, you just destroyed all the magic for everybody.
Well, I think that's kind of something that is fun about this. Plenty of people don't care, and they're just going to keep going see it anyway.
If you walk to the point where the lights are, where do you get to? Like if you're at the top of that hill?
Yeah, so we walked up to the top of that hill, and there's just nothing over there. There's more paths that go through the trees that people ride ATVs through.
Did you go during the day or at night?
Yeah, we did.
During the day?
Because we didn't know how far it was during the night, so I was like, I'm good. I was really curious, what conditions would you not see it? Because, I mean, I'm not even kidding, like every night since the 60s.
I mean, if there's no cars out there?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. Oh, it is funny, too. I had seen that, I guess some nights the lights just look really crazy. Mm-hmm. And someone said that's caused by a policeman pulling someone over on that highway. I just loved the idea of a cop who would specifically enjoy pulling people over there because he's just like, I'm going to give people out at the lights a show tonight. They're going to go nuts.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So do you feel like this experience was transformative? Did it change you? Are you a different person now?
Well, it was actually pretty freaky, that last one that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like it would be way too convenient for a paranormal phenomena that's very similar to the headlight phenomena happening in the exact same place.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like the two probably aren't happening separately here.
Yeah.
So I feel like if some of it is headlights, it's probably all headlights. But it is super freaky. And I would go back. If I lived near Paulding, I would be there all the time.
Just seeing it, just drinking some beers and hanging out.
It was really just interesting in general hearing just what other people are talking about, because it was totally quiet out there. So if you were talking to your friend, you were talking to the group.
Yeah.
There was a woman who was like, see, if my husband were out here with us, he would know all these people and where they fished. Because I guess he's out there all the time.
That's cute. I like that.
It was a very wholesome ghost experience.
Well, tell me about this other one now too. Let's hop on our
Ghost train?
let's get on the interstate, yeah, and let's cross over the border and try not to sweat as we got our smuggling that vanilla Coke up to the
yeah, if I'm ever
up to
allowed
people.
over the border again, I would love to visit.
That's right, we can't go.
Our other light.
Build a wall.
Canada's about to, I think. Our other light today is the St. Louis, Saskatchewan ghost train. It's described as a huge beam of white light that appears on an old, abandoned rail line. The tracks have been removed, but the residents still see what looks like the headlight on an old-fashioned train on a regular basis.
Oh.
Yeah. The story involves a train conductor who was decapitated by the train one night.
Ooh.
Many locals believe it led to the mysterious ghost train that has long haunted the old tracks, and stories of the conductor roaming the tracks looking for his head.
Oh.
The story is pretty similar to one I heard about the Brewery Hill Spooklight in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
It was a railroad worker looking for his decapitated head. Like, how did that become such a widespread myth? Was that a common railway accident?
I mean, I don't know modern. I'm sure hopefully with safety standards, workplace safety standards. But yeah, was this people frequently getting maimed and decapitated while working on rail tracks?
Yeah. I just find it so interesting that such a specific thing is such widespread, even, up into Saskatchewan. Well, unfortunately, a few years ago, two other local killjoys in 12th grade claimed to have duplicated the phenomena, which they determined to be caused once again by the diffraction of distant vehicle lights.
Aww.
However,
Ooh.
the light had been reported before the advent of cars. The defense rests.
So if this was before cars and before trains, are we dealing with spectral, spooky ghost buggies?
Before the electric light?
Yeah, with their kerosene lanterns or their whale oil lanterns haunting the roads.
Well, so you think then that it was always just some sort of car? You don't ever think there was a paranormal occurrence here?
Well, I could think that. So that means that the area was haunted, and then they just put they just paved it. So is it just there's spooky lights with an unexplained origin all throughout the world, and then humans just happen to lay down a train or a car, and it provides a convenient explanation?
Maybe we should check a map and we'd find that all rail lines are on ley lines.
Oh, yeah? Coincidence or correlation?
Well, Casey, I have one more ghost train for you. This one's man-made in a different way. In Shorewood, Wisconsin, a suburb of Milwaukee, glides the Shorewood Ghost Train, a public art experience created by Marty Peck. From 1935 to 1963, a passenger train going from Chicago to St. Paul in 400 minutes would pass over Shorewood's Oak Leaf Trail Bridge. 53 years later, the train is back in the form of an artistic sensory experience that simulates the sound, feel, and appearance of a train passing over the bridge. And I sent you a link to it if you'd like to see a video.
I would.
It sounds really realistic. The train horn is as loud as a train horn to the point where it actually vibrates the ground underfoot.
Gonna click play. Oh, that's cool. The light on it is super neat.
The ghost train ran for the first time on Halloween in 2016, and now it runs twice a day. Once northbound, once southbound. During December, the train is occasionally replaced with the Holiday Express train on weekends, on Christmas. And on Saturdays in the summer, it's a circus train with unusual animal sounds.
That's cute. Does it go like at noon or something? So instead of bells or sirens that some cities will do they have the train horn?
I think it's just at night because a lot of it is visual with lights. So I think it's easier to see.
Speaking of train lights, going to the Trails of Terror out in what is the one that's down kind of by the Renfest site?
Oh, Shakopee.
Yeah. So I went down there one year and I went through like outdoor haunted spooky obstacle course.
They had a haunted obstacle course?
No, I mean it was like you walk through the woods and there's different things set up to like give you the spooks.
I was like, you didn't tell me you underwent paranormal training.
That's right. They had like the guy dressed up in like the zombie paint and he was like rah trying to scare you, and I'm like my social anxiety like freaked me out way more than the guy in the costume. So I started stuttering really bad and be like, I don't know that anyway.
But you didn't have to talk to him.
Well, he was in my face trying to scare me, and then I didn't want to be rude and not be scared because he's like trying really hard, but then I was trying to crack jokes, but then he wasn't laughing because that's his job not to laugh.
That's the most Midwestern thing I've ever heard.
It was.
Well, I didn't want to be rude and not be scared.
So I wasn't scared up until the point where all of a sudden it's in the woods, it's dark, and I hear a train horn, and I look, and there's this bright light just hurtling at me.
Oh,
and I about pants, and it was the scariest thing in the whole event because it reminded me of driving a car.
If you are on the internet and you've ever seen those famous haunted house photo where people are absolutely losing their have you seen those? Like,
yes,
it's a photo from them doing that where there's a bright light and there's a train horn sound, so it seems like a train is coming right at you. Mm-hmm. That's what that is. I think that gets used a lot in haunted houses. I've had that done to me as well, and I did not appreciate it.
Oh, it's legitimately scary.
I did find it interesting that while there are many famous lights across the US, they're caused by different things based on their locations. Some spook lights are explained as aircraft lights, reflections from stars or planets distorted through layers of different temperatures, swamp gas. There's also a kind of geologic activity called an earthquake light.
What?
Yeah. I guess there's reports of lights appearing in the sky before or during earthquakes.
That's crazy.
Sounds wild. Glad we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Can't relate.
Unless, like, somebody fracks so far under the Red River Valley that we just collapse into it. That would stink. But other than that, I think we're good. No earthquakes. And it's really cool. You got to go and experience it.
Yeah, we should go back.
Well, I have been buying camping supplies. Half because I want to do camping more.
For the listeners, I feel like I should explain. There was a unfortunate incident maybe 2 years ago where Casey would not stop talking about this incredible sleeping bag she had purchased. You know, it did everything, really.
It was the Tenor
and she was
3-stage military sleep system, Siberian rated, military surplus.
The next morning, come to find out, unfortunately, the tent did not hold up. And even the sleeping bag could not protect from that. And she basically spent the night sleeping in a pool of water.
That was just a comedy of misfortune. Worst experience. So I'm like, I am never repeating that. I still use the sleeping bag. It's still amazing. I've just bought some waterproofing for the outside.
Have you tested it?
Let it be known. I used it when we went yurt camping, so I didn't test the waterproofing, but the other two inner parts, I was so toasty the whole night.
Well, I'll spray you with a hose while you're in it. We'll see what happens.
Let's do it. I'm gonna mummy up into it. I'm gonna run through the sprinkler in the yard, and you can just douse me, and I'll see if the new waterproofing works. But no, I've been buying camping because again, I never want to experience that again. But I like camping. And also because I don't know if we're gonna go into full civilization collapse in a couple months. So if I have to go into the woods and then die 3 days later, I want to do it in style.
Yeah, you want to do it warm and not wet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not dying soggy on the floor of a wet tent. Once we can like see each other again, I'm totally down.
Absolutely. I have to tell you about this incredible bumper sticker I saw. I actually forgot to tell you about it. I think I saw it last week.
Yeah, what was it?
Let me read it to you exactly. I snagged a picture of it.
Sweet, yes.
Okay. This was the weirdest bumper sticker.
Okay.
It said, "I break for old graveyards. Ask me for graveyard stories."
Whoa.
Right? Can you believe that?
Did you pull up next to them, roll out your window, and ask for spoopy stories.
You know, I actually seriously did consider following them.
Yeah.
But then they turned onto campus, so they were probably a child, and I figured I shouldn't follow them back to their dorm room to ask about graveyards.
Next time you have to get a business card with the podcast email, and you can drop it in there. Be like, we're looking for stories. Come on our show.
Throw it through their open window as I pass them. I mean, they did invite it, though.
They did.
So.
Well, you got to go find their car then if it's on campus, and then, like, you know, leave a little note for them saying, like, hey, get in contact. Our people should talk with your people.
Would you like to talk about those graveyard stories on a podcast?
A spooky Midwest.
Just occurred to me. I wonder if that's a bumper sticker for another podcast or something. Anyway, it was a very weirdly relevant,
specific.
Yeah, I think that's the most relevant sticker I've ever seen on a car.
You're gonna have to get one. Oh, we need one then for the show that says something like share spooky stories. Text us at.
Yeah. Oh my god. I would not even want to know what kind of stuff we get sent.
Yeah. No thanks. Yep. You're gonna start the plugs.
You can find us on Instagram at Paranormal Planes.
You can find us on Twitter at ParaPlanesPod. You can also find us on podcast listings because, yeah, we got hip with it, kids. So
fellow kids,
like spreading like a freaking disease, like COVID, it touches one, then the RSS feed spreads to all the others. Not like it's hard to do, right? You just send them the link.
No, Casey, stop. We have to apply with a notary in a secret location who then submits us with 5 references.
I mean, it's more involved than my confidential clearance. No, just kidding. We're at Spotify. iTunes, that one was actually the most involved. I don't know if they got some poor intern having to review everybody or what the deal was there. We got on Pocket Cast, Stitcher, I think that's it. There might be more. Oh, Google Podcasts. I don't know what their service is called, but there was an option like add to the service, and I was like, heck yeah, I'll click that button. So we're probably on a bunch of stuff that I just added us to without necessarily knowing what it was. But if one of those was not listed and you'd like to be able to listen there, let us know. Drop us a line, add a comment. Tell me which button to click.
And thank you so much to the people who answered our call last week. We sounded the horn of Gondor and several of you turned up. So thank you. You have my bow.
And you have my axe.
Next time there's an alien in your backyard, call me and I'll take care of it for you. And yeah, I promise we're not just asking for vanity's sake. Reviews truly help people find our podcast, and we'd love to build a community of weirdos who like this stuff, so we need your help to do that.
And bumper stickers.
So I also passed this other truck that had a pink bumper sticker on it that said Girls Fish Too. And I was like, all right. And then I passed her, and the chick had a walleye tattooed on her bicep.
No way! She's dedicated to the craft!